SFM Radio.
Hello, Natasha.
Hi, Tony.
So your new research suggests that quite a lot of us, despite all the incidences of recent times, want to live and work abroad. Why is that?
I think certainly for new experiences, I think we've always been a sort of a travelling nation, us being an island, of course. And it's new experiences, places, cultures. I think that people always sort of at one point in their career want to experience something, even if it's just for a year or two. But yeah, hopefully Brexit hasn't dulled that. But I think we also looked at some research that said 12% had given up on their dreams of working in another country because of Brexit, which is a bit sad. So we want to say that it's still possible for sure.
It's probably made it more difficult, has it not, though, now that the freedoms that we had as sort of with the closer ties, they must have changed.
They have changed, yeah. I mean, I think it's, each specific country in Europe has its own, in the EU rather, has its own rules around that. But generally, highly skilled migrant or HSM is applicable in terms of entry requirements. But, that doesn't mean that it's not possible. I think that people need to kind of just look at each individual circumstance and just check. Yeah, just go online and check that particular government's website.
And even outside Europe, it's a lot harder, isn't it, to get jobs in foreign countries? I mean, Australia, whereas they used to welcome us Brits with open arms, they now want specific skills.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, Australia works on a point system, but I mean, in terms of other countries, I think that things haven't got more difficult after Brexit for those. That hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is the situation with the EU, and I think that now it's all about kind of looking at what you want to do and perhaps upskilling in that particular sector, or whether that's learning more kind of digital experience. We've seen a huge increase in that over the last year. Obviously, everyone's had to kind of adapt. But then, yeah, I think certainly learning a language as well is useful in Europe. I mean, we all know that in Spain, they don't really like to speak much English. So I think conversational Spanish is a really good one to learn.
It's the same in France, isn't it? They don't particularly like to speak too much English.
I think the thing to remember though is that each international companies will still speak business English, and I think that places like Copenhagen, certainly in the Netherlands, English is very, very widely spoken, if not as a second language almost. But it's still good to have that language skill just to embed yourself in the culture a little more, I think.
Your research suggests that working remotely is, something that we would consider, but I guess even that with the, we're not sure about things like roaming charges. So you're going to have to make a lot more use of things like Skype and Zoom and technologies like that, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, we've all got quite au fait with all of that now. I think we're pretty good at the old Zoom. Even my mum's on Zoom, so it's quite easy. But yeah, I mean, working remotely, if you want to now sort of go off to a different country and do the whole laptop lifestyle thing, that's really made it a lot easier for sure. One thing you do have to keep an eye out though for, I think, is taxes in different countries and how long you're actually allowed to be in that country for, whether it's 3 months or whatever that might be. So that's something to keep an eye out for.
And of course, the pandemic has made travelling a little less easy.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, at the moment, certainly between the UK and Amsterdam, there are big travel restrictions. You can't freely come over to Amsterdam without either a work permit or a signed contract or a very valid reason for coming here. So hopefully that's going to change. That we see as a very kind of short-term thing. But yeah, I mean, hopefully all those restrictions will be lifted once the vaccine comes in.
And the other thing, of course, is that we were building up between the UK and Europe good transport links with things like Eurostar. I mean, that's been called into a little bit of question now. Do you think things like that will affect travelling between UK and Europe specifically?
No, not really. I mean, I think the Eurostar is a great example of how things are getting much easier on that side of things. You know, you can now travel between Amsterdam and London, obviously without the restrictions, but in like 4 hours, which is amazing. But I do know that the first Eurostar to do that direct from Amsterdam to London, unfortunately, was a little bit empty. So that was a shame. But no, I think just generally travel, like the Eurostar is a brilliant thing for sure.
But it's in its future, uh, as I heard recently, is possibly in question. So people might be, you know, it's a link which we've got used to that might end up, being taken from us. So what would you, if somebody wanted to work abroad, then be it in Europe or elsewhere, what's your main advice?
I think one of the main things is to, yeah, look at, as I said, look at upskilling in that particular sector, look at the restrictions, see if you are eligible for work in that country first and foremost. But definitely language learning is really key. Yeah, I think that's not only to land a job, but just to improve the overall experience of living abroad. And yeah, I think that would be your main thing.
And are you surprised that so many people want to work abroad or live abroad?
Not really. I mean, I think that I think that's a lot of people now feel that it's easier. I mean, certainly to get away from the weather, moving south is always a good thing to do, but also because of different career opportunities and just a different kind of experience, I think.
So you live and work in Amsterdam. How good's your Dutch?
I do. It's not too bad. I mean, my 4-year-old is sort of fluent native speaker, so he's almost like carrying around a little language app because he translates everything for me. But yeah, I mean, I think because they speak such good English here, it's actually quite difficult to learn the language. But I did download Rosetta Stone, and I'm kind of trying to pursue that at the moment. So yeah.
And where can people go to find out more information?
Well, I think obviously the internet, I mean, rosettastone.co.uk is really good. But yes, I think that would be the main port of call if you do want to learn a language.
Thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks, Tony.